Welcome back to Seven Moons Astrology, where mysticism and science combine. My name is Sarah Kirby, and this is a reading for the new moon solar eclipse in the sign of Scorpio, exact on the 25th of October, 2022. That's right, we've returned to yet another eclipse season, this time just a few days after the sun enters Scorpio. The moon will join it in the same sign as the south node in a new moon configuration. The nodes are calculations rather than physical celestial bodies, and they represent points along the ecliptic. Anytime we have a new or full moon in the same signs as the nodal axis, we get an eclipse. We have 2 eclipse seasons per year with a new and full moon each for 4 total eclipses cycling every 6 months. Because they are more rare than your typical new or full moon, they are more concentrated in their energy. If life is a stairway to heaven, then the monthly new and full moons represent about 1 step each. The eclipses, on the other hand, are when we jump leaps and bounds, multiple steps at a time, and they correspond to life's more defining moments and realizations. Now, Hellenistic ancient astrology is of the school of thought that eclipses are points of crisis or omens of unfavorable events. And that's certainly a valid point of view, especially when you consider the impact of eclipses on mundane astrology, the global and collective events. But that's not always the case for us as individuals. I'll be real with you and say that I've definitely experienced personally and seen in my clients' lives that eclipses can bring points of crisis or problems to solve. And I've also experienced and seen that eclipses can be beautiful gateways and doorways to exactly where we need to be going at a much faster pace. We cover more ground in a shorter period of time during the eclipses. So I want to be honest and careful and deliberate about how I deliver this forecast, because there are certainly some things about it in this chart that suggest to me that this energy can be a little bit uncomfortable, to say the least, but there's lots of opportunities for alchemy here, and I don't want anybody to fear eclipses. We have to take more responsibility for the thoughts that we accept as true, because they create our reality, and if we think that eclipses are going to ruin our lives, then maybe they just will, and I don't like that. So we're going to focus on what we can do and how to be prepared for what we may experience so that we can make the most of it and respond in the best way possible. And hopefully, help you externalize what's happening in your consciousness so that you can see a clear path forward. That's my goal. So let me pull this up on the screen. First, you've got the moon here at 2 degrees, the sun at 2 degrees, this time Venus as well at 2 degrees in the sign of Scorpio, and the south node at 13 degrees. This is a new moon when the sun and moon are at the same degree in the same sign, and the south node is nearby, indicating we have an eclipse. Scorpio at the highest level is about surrendering control. It's about embracing uncertainty. It's about recognizing and allowing permanent change, the shedding of old skin, the shifting of identity. It's about understanding things deeply at the root, getting things at the root, digging for the truth. Scorpio is about many, many things, but that's certainly one of the biggest themes that's going to emerge here. And before I get into more specifics, I'd like to give context based on the past and the entire point of this nodal axis in the Taurus-Scorpio situation here. So we had the node shift in Taurus and Scorpio in late 2021, and since then we've been learning more about this Taurus energy with the north node here. We've been learning about patience, slowing down, taking life at a much more present, pleasant pace, relaxing more, enjoying life more, simple pleasures, caring about where our food comes, caring about how we use and sustain our energy. And also, one of the biggest ones is redefining and reinventing our value systems. With Uranus here, this entire time, there has been a lot of awakening to value structures that we use to create our ego construct that just don't fit anymore, that need to change, because we're changing, and what's important to us is not the same as it used to be. So We're questioning authority. We're questioning who makes the rules. We're questioning what pace life needs to be lived at. We're questioning what's really important to us, who's really important to us, what we really want and why we want it. And that might be different than who we were before, and it might be different than what we've been told to be. And that's what's going on here. We're learning patience, determination, self-reliance, slowing down, being present, relaxing more, and understanding what is really important to us. That's what this entire period of time has been about, 2021 and 2022. And we've also had Saturn squaring Uranus for the most part in 2021 and a little bit in 2022, and it's tight now, although it is loosening. And this square has been about wanting to make a great deal of change in our lives and needing to do it slower than we might want to. This has also been about questioning who makes the rules and why, and what authority we really subscribe to. Who's in charge? Is it me? Is it the government? Is it somebody else? Is it society? Who makes the rules? Why are the rules the way they are? Those types of thoughts. This is also the yearning to get out of feeling overburdened, over-responsible, working too hard, needing to change the way everything is structured in our lives, and also wanting to make sure that we don't do it in such a chaotic way that it doesn't last or we create more problems than we had in the first place. Because we're looking to liberate ourselves for the long term, not just now, not just for the immediate gratification, but for something that will be built to last. So it's a certain balancing of conservatism and also progressive energy. It's a trying to figure out how to strike the right balance between the past and the future. Change it all or keep what matters, and how to figure that out. So we've had a lot of pressure from that energy that has been building as of recently and now is breaking up. So there's an opportunity here where there's a release. And that release corresponds to this new moon solar eclipse in the sign of Scorpio. So we just also came out of Libra season. It was barely 2 seconds ago that we came out of Libra season, which was all about renegotiating what feels fair and balanced and peaceful in our lives, particularly when it comes to relationships, especially because we had a Mercury retrograde at that time. Old people come around, breaking off relationships, changing the way we show up in relationships, having to work out some problems in relationships, deciding that things didn't really feel like they were reciprocal in the right way, learning to prioritize our peace because we want things to feel more relaxed. We want to live life at a slower pace, and our value system is different than it has been before, and certain people in certain relationships need to be on board with that, or they're not going to fit into the next reality, right? So that's what that season has been about. Embracing peace in my relationships and identifying how to create more of that, because what I want now looks and feels different with this North Node in Taurus. So the Scorpio eclipse here is really connected to all of this because Venus is here at 2 degrees. Now a new moon, even a new moon eclipse, is about something new, right? A new chapter, a new realization, something new that starts here and now. Well, what is it something new with? Well, it's the South Node, something new with what we're letting go, what we're releasing, what we're doing less of, what we're moving away from. What is that? And that's Scorpio. Less toxic situations, less toxic people, less toxic things in my body, less manipulation, less control, power struggles, less of that. Less feeling suspicion, less feeling like we're ruminating over everything all the time, less clinging to control and fearing uncertainty, less debt, less financial issues, less suffocating situations that we're in order to get our money straight and right. Less of who I was before that valued things that weren't correct because they were based on my trauma, based on my wounds, based on my fears. That's what we're doing less of with the South Node in Scorpio. So it's something new with what we're doing less of here. More context, Venus. Well, what is Venus about? It's about Taurus and Libra. It rules Taurus and Libra. So this is a very clear and palpable demonstration that what needs to happen here on a core level is the release of a pattern with relationships, with money, or with things that I used to value that aren't right anymore. And in some cases, for some people, this is going to look like literally letting go of a physical possession, because Venus is also about physical possessions. So there's a camp of you that will experience losing something literally in the physical reality. But other people are going to say, this relationship isn't aligned anymore. I need to let it go. Or this pattern that I have around how I'm making money, or this relationship that I'm in, this contract that I'm in to make money, it doesn't feel right anymore because I want to be moving at a slower pace. Or if you're doing something related to art or beauty or aesthetics, it's like, this doesn't fit anymore and I need to let it go because my idea and my vision of what is beautiful and what is peaceful and what is relaxing, I can't have these things anymore. Even if it's something that I loved before, even if it's something that I held dear before, even if it's someone that was important to me before, even if it was someone that I was in love with before, even if it's someone that I value, even if it's a structure, if it's a philosophy, it's a value system that was important to how I defined myself, and it was the construct through which I got my entire ego identity, and letting go of it feels like I'm letting go of myself. Less of that. More surrendering into it. Let it be a relief. Okay, I would be lying if I said that some people, they're going to go through some things where it definitely feels hard to surrender into it. And not everything that we lose around this time is going to necessarily feel like a relief. Okay, I'm not going to lie to you. Venus is at detriment in the sign of Scorpio. It doesn't like to be there. It's aggravated because it rules Taurus. Taurus is about taking it slow, let it be easy, let it be peaceful, be in relationship, enjoy things. Just keep going. It'll be okay. Scorpio is like, no, I need to know. I need to understand. I'm agitated. I need to be able to control this. I can't handle it being uncertain. I'm not relaxed. I'm very focused. I'm very concentrated. I'm even a little obsessed. So Venus doesn't love to be here. Its energy is a bit aggravated, meaning we feel a little bit unsettled emotionally here when it comes to this. Because there's something that feels really, really important to us. Something that feels really valuable to us to get right, that we need to learn to relax into here. Either we need to literally let it go, or we need to relax into the uncertainty of the situation. Or we need to understand the impermanence of things that are undone around this time. The impermanence of things that are undone. The moon is also aggravated in the sign of Scorpio. It's at fall here. It's exalted in the sign of Taurus, loves to be there, feeling good, pleasant emotions, good times. Everybody's relaxed. In Scorpio, we're not. We're investigating, we're serious, we're focused, we're unsure, we're a bit insecure. Okay? Deep emotions, intense emotions, strongly caring about what is going on here, wanting to make sure we get it right. So there's an opportunity to empower yourself here by embracing the concept of surrender, because that's what this is all about. There's an opportunity to embrace reflecting on who you used to be, that you are discovering that perhaps you no longer are, and that that's okay, and to let that be okay, and to let that give you a sigh of relief, and to mark it as a sign of your own personal evolution and your own transformation and your own rebirth into the next version of yourself. That's what Scorpio is all about. Got to make the space. If you're the same that you've always been, if you still believe everything you've always believed, you will always be who you always were. And that's not what you really want. So in order to embrace your new evolving values of slowness, in order to embrace your new evolving values of self-reliance, of a peaceful, pleasant, relaxed life, there's trauma you got to dig out. There's patterns you got to dig out. There's debt that you got to dig out of. There's manipulating situations you got to dig out. There's ways that you're making money that don't feel aligned anymore. There's people in your life that you just can't have anymore. There are physical things that are creating energetic clutter that you need to let go of. That's what the Scorpio eclipse is all about. How can we get more information here? All right, well, let's go to Mars. Mars is the dispositor of this eclipse because it is the ruler, traditionally, of Scorpio. So we're going to start there. We'll go to Pluto. for you moderners out there. We'll go to Pluto. Let's start with Mars. Mars rules Scorpio in traditional astrology. Can tell us more information about the story here. It's in the sign of Gemini. Now, in this sign of Gemini for a long time now, because Mars is about to go retrograde on the 30th of October. It's moving very slowly from the perspective of Earth. Mars in the sign of Gemini for a long time is about learning a lot of new information. Talking with new people, connecting with new people, absorbing information at lightning speed and assimilating it. It's about doing that. It's about talking so quickly you're talking over your tongue. I'm a Gemini, Mars in my sign. Okay? So Mars in our sign is making us hungry and eager to learn everything we can and to get all of the information we can in order to make an effective, successful decision. Mars is about decisions. Gemini is about information. There's a race, Mars, for information so that we can feel a sense of certainty. But that's challenging here because Mars is in a square to Neptune. Neptune's in the sign of Pisces, and a square is typically interpreted as being something more challenging. There's an issue here between these two energies. Neptune, when it goes bad, let's say, is known to cause confusion or lack of clarity or not seeing things clearly, either because we think everything looks far better than it really is and there's something under the rug, or because we're wallowing in our own uncertainty about what to do and we're being overly self-sacrificial to other people and feeling their emotions really strongly and having some codependent behavior about how other people feel about the decisions we're making. That can be another thing that's happening here. And this is probably under the rug in your subconscious for a lot of people. You might consciously be confused about that. Some of you are going to feel that way, but this could very much so be something that's happening under the rug in the subconscious because that's what Pisces energy is all about. And when you have squares in the mutable signs, there's a tendency to repress. There's a tendency to repress the fact that you don't feel sure about whatever is happening here, or you're absorbing other people's emotions, so you're confusing yourself about what decision would be right. Well, why? Because Gemini's the sign of two. You have two minds about something. You're trying to make a decision, getting as much information you can to make to find the solution to resolve the problem that you've had from the Saturn-Uranus square as quickly as possible because the pressure is breaking and there's an opportunity here and you feel like you're in a rush and you want to do it now and you want to get the answer now. Why? Jupiter. In the sign of Aries, okay? Jupiter's at 0 degrees in the sign of Aries. It's retrograding and it's about to go back into the sign of Pisces. This peak Aries energy, 15 minutes in the sign of Aries. There could feel like you're running out of time. You have to figure it out now. You're going to miss your window. No, you're not. You're not going to miss your window because Jupiter's going to go back to Aries in the spring. But it could feel like you're late, even if you're not. It could feel like you're wasting time because that's an Aries thing. We have a lot of Aries energy right now. And the new moon, okay, this is really important. The new moon itself is in conjunct Jupiter at Aries here. So it's very much so a part of the story. This Martian Aries energy could have us feel like there's a pressure to solve. There's a pressure to get an answer. There's a pressure to achieve, to make it happen now. And feeling like the walls are closing, like I'm running out of time, but you're not. Remember the lesson of the North Node in Taurus, slow down. Let's get more information from Mars. So you've got also Mars in conjunction to Pluto here. Okay? Pluto is the modern dispositor, ruler of Scorpio here, dispositor of the new moon. When we have this configuration, there is an intense focus on making sure that what we're doing is going to work in the long term. Pluto in Capricorn is about permanent transformation that lasts for the long haul. I have to have the decision that's right now. I'm sick of these problems. I need something that's going to work, and it's going to work for a long time. And I need to make sure that I desire it not just now, but into the future. So what do? I need to desire it not just now, but into the future. I need to get my money straight for the long term. I need to make sure that whatever I'm spending here, wherever I'm investing, whatever financial situation I have going on with me or another person or my partner's money, that those things are good. Not just today, but in the long term. So there's a lot going on here with feeling a false sense of needing to have everything figured out for 30 years into the future, right this instant. So we need to slow it down and remember the North Node in Taurus, which is about letting things be relaxed, focusing on the present moment. Something needs to be let go of here. And when that thing happens of your own volition or it happens to you, this thing with money, this thing with values, this thing with physical possessions, this thing with relationships, this pattern in any of those things that we're releasing from the subconscious, this person that isn't aligned with our value structure anymore, this thing that isn't beautiful to us anymore, whatever it is, Jupiter's going to then move right back into the sign of Pisces until the end of the year. Well, what is that going to be about? It's going to be about an opportunity to go back to the past, fix what was wrong, dig out whatever was in our subconscious that we didn't want to admit, that we were repressing, that was getting in the way, fix that. Or it's going to be sit in stillness and process and rest some more because there was still some healing that needed to be done. And ultimately what that serves is an opportunity to reimagine what the fresh start is going to look like when Jupiter returns to the sign of Aries. And next year when we've got the nodes move into Aries and Libra, that fresh start is on the way. No, you are not late. You are in perfect timing. Jupiter's going to come back and give us an opportunity to reimagine what it needs to look like now in order to still be in alignment with what we've learned with the North Node in Taurus and how our values are shifting. And what I would like to suggest you do with this time is to take a moment to reflect on and make peace with the way that you've changed already. Because there's beauty in that. And even if you're not the same as you were before and you don't value the same things that you used to, and maybe it surprises you the way that you've changed and you weren't expecting to care about the things that you do now, but you do, or other people aren't going to fit into that picture or whatever it is. This is the North Node in Taurus. There's a moment to embrace the way that you've evolved and the skins that you're shedding and do whatever kind of emotional processing needs to go along with that. Because permanent change or big loss or the undoing of self or the undoing of things that you've really held near and dear with this Venus influence, that can be tough. That can be uncomfortable. And in certain contexts, it can also be a relief. I do think that really the trick to this energy is just mastering that need to feel like you have to have it all figured out right now, or that you have to hit some arbitrary deadline that you feel you're in a rush for, because, the moon, the south node is also in conjunction with Chiron in Aries, which to me is about the way I want it to go, because I want it to go this way and in this timeline, and I need to do this. And here was the plan that I had for this fresh start or this achievement or this goal that I'm after. And I needed it done by now, and this is what I want, my will, Aries, what I want. And there is a recognition here that we do not have control over everything. And there is stuff that we need to release and purge first. Clear it out. That's what the South Node with this new moon in Scorpio is all about. The Saturn-Uranus square is breaking up. It will not return to square for another several years. So the challenges from 2021, they are really this time going to fizzle out. We're not going to have this influence next year. It'll be a whole new reality. So many of the planets are shifting. So we're almost there. And my message is just relax. That's my only advice. Relax into it. Embrace the impermanence of life. If that ain't a Scorpio truth, I don't know what is. I will be posting forecasts on my Instagram at 7 Moons Astrology for all 12 signs related to this energy later in the week. So you can follow me there if you'd like to see what this energy may mean specifically for you by sun, moon, and rising sign. Thank you so much for watching With Energy, Sarah.